Hello all, my name is Ulester Douglas. I am the Associate Director at Men Stopping Violence, an Atlanta-based organization whose commitment, whose mission is to end violence against women. When I heard who the recipient of the Commission's Gender Justice Award was for 2020, my first thought was, yes, that makes sense. What made sense to me was the strong alignment with the criteria for the award and my experience of 20 years working with him. I'm so delighted to say I am referring to my colleague, Lee Giordano, social justice, violence prevention advocate. Lee's leadership, commitment to equity and advocacy on behalf of victims of family violence in Georgia is evident to me in the many aspects of his work. In his position as Director of Training at Men Stopping Violence, Lee is vigilant about ensuring that victims' reality, victim safety are central to all of the organization's trainings. Lee was particularly clear that this was also quite critical, very critical, to the trainings provided to family violence prevention program providers. Thus, he developed a training that exclusively addressed the issue of collusion. He recognized the pernicious cultural bent towards identifying with the perpetrator of the violence and disidentifying and blaming the victim of the violence. Kim Frendak, Director of Community Outreach at the Women's Resource Center to End Domestic Violence, sums up my thoughts on Lee's commitment to the well-being of victims of family violence when she said, working with Lee as the victim liaison for the last many years, 10 years plus, it became abundantly clear that Lee is committed to the safety of women and keeping the realities of their lives front and center to guide and inform his work with men. It is with much enthusiasm that I welcome Lee Giordano, the 2020 recipient of the Georgia Commission on Family Violence Gender Justice Award. Lee.
Wow, thank you, Ulester, and thank you to the Georgia Commission on Family Violence. I'm honored to receive the Gender Justice Award this year at the conference. Many don't know this, but my beginnings in this movement are connected to the Georgia Commission on Family Violence. Back in 1999, a good friend of mine, Sarah Tantanchi, was an employee at the Georgia Commission, and Sarah and I were engaged in social justice organizing here in Atlanta. As a young activist, I wasn't very good at taking direction from women or listening to women I was organizing with. And so Sarah suggested that I get involved with Men Stopping Violence. So that's how I got connected to this work. I reached out to Men Stopping Violence, agreed to participate in a 12-week internship to do this, to engage in this work. But pretty early on, just after my second meeting as an intern, Dick Bathrick, the co-founder of Men Stopping Violence, reached out to me to suggest that if I really was serious about this work, that I needed much more than 12 weeks to do it. And I had already seen the transformational potential of the work at Men Stopping Violence. So I pretty quickly agreed to do much more and to agree to the year-long internship. During that year, I learned a lot about what it meant to be a man engaging in gender justice work, how I needed to look at my training as a man if I wanted to be an important part of this movement. But I also learned one of Men Stopping Violence's core principles, that women's voices are central to the work. So as you heard Ulester name, that became a foundation of my work at Men Stopping Violence. And probably to Sarah's delight, I learned the message from Men Stopping Violence that she really wanted me to. So I've been involved with Men Stopping Violence, with doing this work for just over 20 years now. And much of that work has been much of that time, I've been learning lessons from women and advocates in our community. Advocates like people at the Georgia Commission, Jennifer Thomas, Jenny Asman, Jamila Farrell, who have taught me a lot about this work, but also advocates more broadly like Jessica Noonan, Aparna Bhattacharya, Shelley Serdaley, Kim Frandek, and Victoria Ferguson Young, along with the advocates at the Commission, who have taught me a lot about how important it is to center victim safety in the work that we do with men and our engagement, prevention and intervention work with men. They've also taught me how important it is to take an intersectional approach to this work and really think about how marginalized communities will benefit from our engagement with men. I also have to appreciate the men in my life who have continually held me accountable to do this work in a just way. Men like Ulester Douglas and Dick Bathrick, who have been mentors to me for 20 years. And so I'm clear that all that I have been able to do is with the support and through the learning and through the community that I've experienced here in Metro Atlanta, and from the advocates and from my allies and from men who are doing this work with me. But as we are in a coronavirus pandemic and we see instances of domestic violence rise, we see the imperative of addressing racial injustice as one of the primary reasons why women are not safe in communities, primarily brown and Black women. I'm excited to take on this work and these challenges and know that I have the strong support of a community to do this with. So I so appreciate all that I've learned from this community, and so appreciate the acknowledgement of the Georgia Commission on Family Violence with the Gender Justice Award. Thank you.